Right now, the community is people. What it needs to move to is a community of both people and defender. No, I don't know how you would do this, but defender certified, white hat certified agents. That's the community that also needs to weigh in because we will not get to the speed required, which is Chris's point, if we try to do this in the same way we have done it before. The concept is valid. The method by which we implement community review has to change. And that itself is an entire open standardization question, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so you asked a question earlier about human in the loop. Like human in the loop does not scale. It is not the option. You can't, have this incredible tool in agentic AI and then have it controlled by human gates. What needs to happen, and I've started some early research and testing on this, is a term that I've called deterministic code in the loop. So this ability to say, okay, let's take a migration by
hmm,
default. I am not going to point a migration agent at my infrastructure and say move from one infrastructure to another infrastructure. I don't trust that. What I do trust is my playbooks. So I have a set of playbooks that are deterministic. I have application tests. I can chain this in a way that an agent proposes a path, runs a migration based on the qualifying playbook. If the playbook doesn't exist, that's the hard stop and
right.
the system exits out. If the playbook exists, it runs, and then these deterministic tests that are developed directly for the new environment run. That is not that's not the LLM deciding. That's some deterministic process. Doesn't have to be necessarily code, but there has to be. And I think, Richard, this is what you're hinting to. The community has determined what good looks like. The
Hmm.
question is, what are those deterministic tests that I can run against it so that vendors like Cisco, Palo Alto, etc., can now create systems that can scale to run these deterministic tests against that infrastructure. I think I'm biased because that's the design that I came up in my head, but you can't scale AI with human in the code. It has to be systematic in a way that can be tested. And that's my working theory, but I'm just one person. So I
Yeah,
need I do
I think
need
that's
the extended velocity community to help me out with this thinking.
now that being, I mean, I just want to make sure that this is an amplified point because I actually 100% believe in this as well. And I think there are a lot of signs that you see that this is true, from software development, where obviously things have to pass through test gates before it can be merged, to when we were AICC competing, we used oracles, right? Where the LLMs came up with hypotheses, but they were deterministic oracles to check and give feedback, right? It's like this idea that coming up with a potential solution might be hard, but checking if it works is actually comparably easier and can be done deterministically, right? And so if you have that loop where you can have the agent do the heavy lifting of come up with potential solutions or potential migration path, whatever you want, right? And then you check, well, does this actually work? If you can check that, that's super, super powerful. And even if they leaked Claude code, right? I mean, it's not just a wrap around LLMs, right? There's a lot of systems work that goes into this harnessing. And so not even Anthropic believes everything is LLM. So having
Hmm.
a harness with deterministic code is, I think, super, super important.
We need to turn the asymmetry on the attack side to an advantage on the defense side, right? And we need to invoke that asymmetry of capability internally for our defenders.